it's a force that is. NATO will action anything if more nations like France or get involved, but I don't see it happening yet. Many of the countries that have announced actions against Iran is in the defense perspective. So I think NATO is going to stay quiet for a while Israel and the states try to handle the situation, because involving NATO, it will involve a lot of nations, and obviously that's not the main object here for Israel. Nevertheless, the states and so they're gonna stay. Obviously they're gonna speak out because it's impossible not to. Bases targeted, France's bases targeted, Britain, British targets being targeted. So, people are going to defend, countries are going to defend themselves, but I don't see NATO intervening at the moment. I wanted to ask Lord, what's the perception in the UK? Considering that you guys have a huge Muslim population, what are you seeing? What the people are talking about in the streets?
Well, I can tell you something. You've got here to really a polarized position. It's very polarized. There is a group that they just agree with Israel. They don't want anything to do with Muslims. They want to end the spreading of that culture all around the UK, and I really don't blame them at all. I don't blame them, because that is really, it's really, really, really bad. And then you've got the other group, which is the Labour Party, and many conservative. Believe it or not, many conservative are as well agreed. They are agreed in agreement that the Islamic contribution has been very positive for the UK and this and the other. It's just appeasement. That's all it is. And the reason why Stammer at the beginning didn't want really to go into Iran was because of the fact that he doesn't want to upset the Muslim population within the United Kingdom. So he tries to be very ambiguous, very, like they say in English, very wishy-washy. I don't know if you know that expression, wishy-washy. It's not, it's not the kind of leader that is decisive, just very wishy-washy. It just doesn't make any sense. And then, the fact that Cyprus was attacked, that's an attack to NATO. That's Greece. That's a UK base, military base. So technically speaking, NATO has been attacked. Technically speaking, one of those who thinks NATO could, without making a big hub. Or at least act that kind of actions against Europe. So if Iran has chosen to go to war and it attacked UK base and French as well, so technically speaking, Article 5, it's alive. Technically speaking, it's alive. So Europe and NATO, they should start to change. They should start pretending that everything is fine, that everything is all right, that everything is like as if that were happening somewhere else. No, it's happening at their doorstep. And Europe has been attacked. And then the function of NATO is to defend the European territory, the European continent. So they have to isolate the aggressor, and the aggressor is Iran. And of course, the advantage is that the neighbors are all against Iran because Iran made the stupidity to go and attack the neighborhood, which is really silly. I don't know who is advising them about that issue there, but it's absolutely ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense at all. So it's one of those things that I really don't understand, to be honest. So one way to act is that is the unity of the alliance. It was supposed to be, of course, there to deliver, to really act. Well, they should start by expelling the ambassadors today or yesterday, and let NATO do its job tomorrow, if that makes sense. Because the France is already sending the carrier over there. So, but expel the ambassadors. To do nothing, it's just lack of prudence. It is complicity in the next attack on European soil. So NATO must, it's not to have, must take action at NATO, a collective action, and all European countries alike, together with the European Union institutions declaring already our territory has been attacked twice. We're going to react, every single country, Italy, France, the other one, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, Finland, Norway, calling the Iranian ambassadors, expel them. You've got 48 hours to leave the whole of Europe. All that happening all along Europe. That's a tremendous impact in diplomacy. But they do nothing. And that makes me wonder, why they don't do anything, why they don't act, Iran literally brought the war to Europe. That's what they did. The war is right there at the doorstep. And the attack was indiscriminate. Completely indiscriminate, lashing out widely across the region, and more threats. So when a regime is just firing you drones, it's firing you ballistic missiles at NATO members, to their sovereign base, is that a regional tension? Of course not. They did it. Technically speaking, when you look at technicality, they did it. So it's not just that it's regional. It has extended towards Europe. Of course, the idea is not to go to war. The idea is to try to search for peace. But that peace can be achieved only by showing strength. And one way to show the strength is by taking the diplomats out of here. And you're going to start to comply with what has to be complied with. And the NATO should be already adjusting forces and raising a voice, talk, taking a posture. Here we've got a threat from the Middle East into Europe, moving around, come on. Nothing has happened. And it's not an isolated incident, because if you tell me it was only one, but it's been ongoing during all these days and nights. So ongoing during these days and nights, and on top of that, the problem with Iran has been going on for decades. Everybody knows there is a hybrid war against Europe, not only from the Iranian part, but from the Iranian diplomats, from Russia, because of Ukraine war. The UK has been attacked X amount of times. Cyber attacks. The Royal Mail was attacked. Marks and Spencer shops have been attacked. Banks has been attacked via internet, attacking their systems down. The United Kingdom was surrounded with sensors by Russia. to detect the submarines, the nuclear submarines that the UK is moving around. Well, Russia put sensors to check them. We are at war. We are at war. That's a fact. A low-intensity war, but we are at war. The fact that we don't see the missile falling right on top of our heads is another matter. But that doesn't mean we're not at war. We are at war. So the Iranian, and on top of that, that organization, the Iranians have been expelled from multiple European countries in the past, in 2018, in 2020, in 2022, from Albania, France, the Netherlands, Denmark, Austria, and other countries, precisely for terrorist plots against dissidents on European soil. So if they do that, because there were plots on European soil and they expelled the ambassadors, why the ambassadors they haven't been expelled as yet? I mean, a ballistic missile is much more worse. And having a nuclear program explicitly designed to reach European capitals, hello, wakey wakey. And Tehran all the time repeating and threatened the whole world exactly about it, verbally. It's not a secret. They do it on television. Like the Chavez and the other ones speak all that rubbish in Venezuela about, come and get me. He's telling, Maduro, you're a coward, come and get me. Well, they went for him. At the end of the day, they ended up going for him. But they should act. You see? That's the way I look at it. So expelling every Iranian diplomat, in my view, it comes to be the minimum, non-kinetic. And by non-kinetic, I mean those attacks that are happening in the modern world now, like they do in the Caribbean, when they do that kinetic attack to those boats. This would be the minimum non-kinetic response to Iran, because it's threatening European soil as a hunting ground. So I think they should act. And the diplomatic expulsion is not escalation. They're not escalating really any war. It is a basic self-defense and moral, because that's what you're showing, moral clarity, a moral message of self-defense for your wrongdoings. Because ambassadors enjoy privileges. That's the reality. Because they are supposed to be representing a government. And they are supposed to be representing the rules of diplomacy, international law, and so on and so forth. So if the Islamic Republic went to Lali, shooting everybody, sending drones to everybody, to the neighborhood and beyond, and sending missiles everywhere, they've got a psychiatric problem in their minds. It seems to me that they are losing control of themselves. The much better. You've got the mic.
Well, yes, very interesting point of view, Mr. Ivan. And but do you really think that Iran regime has the real capacity, to attack European countries, or they are just threatening, but they have no real capability of military? Do they really have missiles to reach European countries further than Cyprus? Or they are just threatening?
They haven't got they haven't got the capacity to reach London or something like that, but they can reach Greece, Cyprus, that area, as they are doing, actually. They already did it. Just that bit. They can, in a way, just get there. But the point is, they're doing it. So to use the diplomatic pressure, should have been done by now. In reality, Australia expelled Iran's ambassador in 2025, for instance, because Tehran they did anti-Semitic attacks on Australian soil with those proxies cells they have, and it was just a cell within Australia's territory. Well, the ambassador was expelled. So Europe has suffered far more Iranian plots than Australia. I'm sorry to say, but it's much more than Australia. Why the ambassador has not? They haven't been expelled as yet. And the European Parliament banned all Iranian diplomats from its premises in 2026. In January, they were not expelled, but they were banned from the offices, from the European Parliament, to attend, to avoid legitimizing the regime. So if they've done it in the past, why now that they've got this huge problem and they've been strongly attacked, why are they not doing it? You see what I mean? Why not? Antonio, you've got the hand up. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Lord, for this opportunity. A pleasure to be here in this space. I just wanted to say something about today in the French TV. Mr. Macron was addressing, to the nation. I think it was 15 minutes. And the moment that he was doing, he chose is launching of a submarine, nuclear submarine, that he spoke, if I remember well, he told that this is a submarine that has more power than 1,000 times. I think he told the power of destruction power of the Second World War. So we can imagine what can be happen with this machine in the seas. Of course, he didn't say where was going. He was addressing to an auditorium in the same place where the submarine it was in the north of France, I think in Finistère. And it was all the ceremony, the Marines that were going to be in the submarine. I don't know how many. The families, the military, the political people, and I think this is already. We know already that these countries in Europe, maybe they are waiting. No, they cannot go. It's only 3 days of this war between three nations: the USA, Israel, and Iran. No, but I think with this attack in Cyprus, to this UK military base, so they are not going to abandon these positions, no. So I think UK is already involved. UK has many interests in the Middle East, in the United Arab Emirates, in Dhahran, in Saudi Arabia. So they are not going to abandon this the friends in the area, no. So I think slowly, step by step, Europe can be engaged in that conflict, no. Another thing that I wanted to share is I have the opportunity today to speak with 3 friends in 3 different locations. One in Lebanon, and I spoke with him maybe 15 minutes. The other was in Israel. I spoke with him almost 1 hour, and the other in Saudi Arabia with some message and in the United Arab Emirates. About this one, the first one was in Lebanon. Yes, he was telling me that he was less hearing the explosions and all of that, but he took the prevention to go out from the city, from Lebanon, and he went to the mountains. He has in the mountains he has a house there, no? And he was telling me that yes, they are being attacked by Hezbollah and all of that, and they are taking prevention, to be exposed. Of course, he had the opportunity to go to another place, no, but he took the action to be protected with family and all of that. The other one, he was in Saudi Arabia, a friend that we used to work together in Aramco, and he was working in the refinery in Ras Tanura. One of the refineries is refining almost 600,000 barrels per day of oil. And it was an attack. It was a drone attack. It told me that, of course, it didn't affect the population, but the drone, it was a fire in the refinery. They extinguished the fire, of course, and they had the prevention to shut down the refinery. Shut down one refinery of 600,000 barrels per day is not a joke, no? So it's it seems that Iran is trying to attack different points to provoke the people to engage in the conflict, no? The other case, it was in Abu Dhabi when they attacked one of the ports. I have a friend there that he listened to the explosion, and he was saying it's something very curious. I didn't know how it worked, but how is the notification of the alarm? No, and he told me, because I am very close to the explosion, it's almost 2 kilometers. I have we receive message in the mobile phone. This alarm, this very hard, and that something is going to happen. They didn't know what is going to happen, no. And the technology is amazing. He was telling me that this alarm, they work only in the areas where the drone or the attack or the missile is going to hit, no? So Abu Dhabi is a city of 3 million people, different region, different arrondissement, and the only mobile phones that are going to some is this one that are in the area of exposure. The other part of the city, they are not having this alarm. This is interesting. I didn't know that. The other one, the friend that is in Israel, we were, students in Caracas in the same school. And he came back to go back to Israel with the family and all of that, no? And he was explaining me, even that he was in Asclop, I think, another type of technology. He was telling me, we know already when, by authorities and other, when the attack, when the missile is coming here, it's coming from Iran. I don't know, it's maybe 500 or 600 kilometers, I don't know. And we know already when is going, when it's launched, the attack. And after a certain time, they receive another alarm to go to the refugee. He was telling me that he already in these 3 days, he went to the refuge. Is in the same, the bunker is in the same building, and the new buildings, they have the special rooms already constructed. The old buildings maybe not, and they have to walk, but normally in the new buildings, they have the a bunker in the same building, and he was talking to me very normal. He was going to the to the street. He went to the park. Everything normal at that time in that location. But the way that they received the message is these sirens and all of that, but only when after is the region of the city, of the location of the city, the urbanization of the city that is going to be hit, and they have to go to the how do you say, to the bunker, no? So I think the strategy of Iran, because it was attacking these 3 days different places, Dubai, the hotels. By the way, many tourists are being affected, because the flights are not, all the area in the Middle East is. There are no flights there, no? Of course, how are they going to be flights if these are plane, with missiles? I don't know how many they launch it until now, but it's really a very, they have to pay attention. They attack, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Bahrain, Qatar. Another friend in Doha told to me, we are really really scared because we received some, and we can see in the news. We can see in the news all of that. No? Well, this is my opinion. I think the NATO maybe is waiting. It's like the policy of let's see and wait. Let's see and wait, and after. I don't know what is going to happen, but I see that there is the intention to stop all these terrorists from Iran. The addressing to the Washington. The military. The minister. I think they are clear that they are going to stop this. This terrorism, and of course it's going to be affect also of Venezuela because Hezbollah is there, and well, the only thing now is to. I was telling to my wife today. The only thing here now is that they have to agree. They have to be planned. A leader has to address authority. They cannot go everyone to the battle, no? Somebody has to organize that. If it's going to Germany is going to participate, UK or France, Spain definitely not. Definitely, Spain in the opposite side, and I think at the end, I see that they are going to stop. Finally, they are going to stop this terrorism, because what is the sense to fight for everything and to I don't know. They have to stop. They have to stop. War has to stop, and terrorism has to stop. Okay, this is my opinion, and this is I give the mic. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you. You're welcome. Alvaro, you've got the... Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Ivan. Just 2 questions. One, if it's certain, a news I heard in another space about Spain has denied access to 2 bases in Spain's soil to run or to deploy actions from Air Force against Iran. Okay, I don't know if that is true, and if you heard about that, and your opinion about the use of technology. Remember the conversation yesterday in your space, and you mentioned that the kinetic attacks. Okay, and we have seen that here in Venezuela, and when you go dive in the deep web using Tor browser and and go to forums inside there in the deep web, and they are talking about certain technologies that United States have right now, and probably they are using it as a testing, okay? I don't know if you seen yesterday something related some laser weapons, okay? And well, that's I think that is a real fact, okay? The use of new technologies, and because Trump is talking about a certain amount of time, he said probably 4-7 weeks, and you say, wow, 4 or 7 weeks to return.
I predicted that. I said, outer space, that was going to be going on for about 8 to 10 weeks. I said it even before it was announced. It was a prediction of mine. It was a prediction of mine. I did it in outer space. I can't remember when. Which one was it? Because they go to, several spaces around. But I said that already. Yes, you're absolutely right. Regarding the lasers, yes, Israel has them. Israel has developed the laser technology, and they've got the dome, the Golden Dome as well. Regarding the kinetic attacks, that's the way they killed the Ayatollah. They killed all these people one by one using the very same strategy. Through spies. They've been working on it for months on end to try to follow the Ayatollah, the routine, how he lives, where he goes, at what time, the days he's in some place, the days that he was in another place. It was for months. So they knew already where they're going to do the attack, where he was, and all that. So that was not improvised. That was all done very, very carefully by the CIA and the Mossad, of course, and so on and so forth. And the new technologies, of course, they are out there. Don't worry about it. They are using them. And then regarding Spain, Spain is a Trojan horse. You know that Spain.
Spain.
Yeah, Spain was infiltrated ideologically decades ago by Fidel Castro and Hugo Chavez.
Mm-hmm.
The party Podemos was financed by Venezuela. So that party really is promoting this socialism and this way of thinking and this way of behaving and giving advice to through Spain and through Italy as well, with some groups called solidarities groups for Venezuela, the Solidarity Group, Venezuela Solidarity Group for Italy, Venezuela Solidarity Group in Spain, Venezuela Solidarity Group in the United Kingdom. And through those solidarity groups, they have influenced things. They've been participating in each country. But the main one they wanted to tackle was Spain because, of course, they speak Spanish, it's easier to do. And as a Trojan horse, Spain, because it's a member of the European Union, they could then influence and penetrate all the structures, spreading the ideology through the European Union, through all those organizations that are, of course, from the hard left, to promote that ideology. So Sanchez is there as a result of that. Sanchez is not there, by accident, as a natural evolution of the Spanish politics. He has a strong, very, very strong influence from imported from Venezuela. That's the reality. That's why the guy even speaks the way he speaks and behaves the way he behaves. So he's a Trojan horse in Europe. And but it's down to the Spaniards really to get rid of him by elections. Antonio must know much better than me in that sense of the way because he's from Spain.
Yeah. he could speak about that.
Yeah, Antonio could give us some much better orientation in that sense now.
Some insights.
So that's the way I look at it. Now, what I'm saying about the alliance is that NATO should have convened Article 4 already, coordinate the naval task forces to keep the Strait of Hormuz open, looking after that, check because the 20% of Europe's oil goes that way, and control all that, share real-time intelligence. Of course, I'm sure they are doing it. Now, they're starting to do it now, but it should be public. Antonio, you've got your speaker. You've got your mic, sorry. Your mic is on.
Yeah, it's open.
Yeah, Antonio. I think he's distracted.
Do you have the chance to silence their mic?
Yes, one sec. Let me mute the whole lot. Okay.
Right. So I believe you muted all the speakers. Somebody can hear me?
No,
Please?
yeah. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Very well.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
No.
Yes.
The problem is that Antonio had his mic open. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody can speak now. Sorry. What I was saying is that, yes, I'm sure they are coordinating some actions now, but they are doing it a bit late, if that makes sense, not very well organized. They should have act properly in the sense of the way. Anything less? I mean, anything less tells Iran that it can attack NATO whenever it wants. And they've got to show to the world that NATO, it's a territory that cannot tolerate impunity. You see? Because as long as it uses drones instead of uniformed troops or whatever it's doing, that is not the way they're behaving, that is not deterrence. That is surrender in a slow motion. From the diplomatic point of view, that doesn't mean NATO is going to overreact, but NATO should be speaking out loud, in my view, NATO. That's the way I would have done it, in my view. But anyway, that is my view in the sense of the way. The much speaker, I think you had the hand up a few minutes ago. I'm not sure. You've got the mic, the much better.
Oh, thank you. But it wasn't me.
Okay.
So Ivan, your secretary of NATO just a few minutes ago supported the strikes on Iran. So it seems to go that way. That NATO it's aligning with the operation and after the hit, I think Chipre is being hit a couple times. So we should expect something from NATO at the end of the day.
Yes, I think so. Eventually, we should get some reaction from NATO there. What I am really angry about is about the British reaction as well. I mean, Spain reacted worse than Britain, much worse than the UK. But in my view, the UK, I mean, the way Starmer reacted at the beginning, he didn't even authorize the usage of the military bases here to be used by the US, as they have always done. In this case, it was denied. To me, that is really an awful mistake, because the United Kingdom and the United States has always had a very kind of a special relationship, and that is just not right. Absolutely wrong, in my view. And that's going to be paid, because in the worst crisis to confront the Middle East in decades, the United Kingdom now finds itself exposed not by enemy missiles, because they cannot reach here as yet, but by moral and strategic timidity, wishy-washy of its own government. Very wishy-washy. And and the US and Israel, they were the ones who took the decisive action to dismantle Iran's nuclear ambitions. And the UK has enough power and presence on the planet to really be the leader in Europe, taking the actions towards what's going on there. You see? So, in my view, Keir Starmer, he offered little more than, I don't know, just silly statements and belated defensive gestures. And the ambassador is still there, as I said. That's not right. So, in my view, they know about that, because the reality is that here the MI6 and the MI5s, and I've said that in other spaces as well, they have thwarted plot after plot after plot on British soil. They know there are cells here that belongs to Hezbollah and Hamas. There were more than 20 in the year 2022 alone. Murderers. They were recruiting people, radicalizing people. There was a very famous woman who was even, she went to ISIS. And all of them are just Muslims. And they are recruited from the criminal underworld, prisons and so on and so forth, to target dissidents and journalists. So all those are proxy militias from Iran. And the MI6 and the MI5 knows it. Well, the public knows it, because if I know it, everybody knows it. Mm-hmm. That's true. So I'm not really discovering America.
No,
it's not. It doesn't take rocket science to know that. It's true. It's not a matter of rocket science. It's just a matter to think about it. So all these Iran's proxies have fired on UK interests across the region. So imagine the Foreign Office summoned the ambassador, the Iranian ambassador, to express abhorrence because of the massacre they did on its own protesting citizens, right? In Iran, before this is happening now. So if they did that because they were protesting to express their abhorrence, why they cannot summon the guy again and tell him, excuse me, your missiles are raining now on your neighborhood and on a British base in Cyprus. So I don't see any excuse for that, to be honest. I really don't see that in any way. to have a position of appeasement. Now, the good thing is the impact and the consequences, because this ongoing military conflict between the U.S., Israel, and Iran is significant, is making a change in all aspects, in economics, in human life, geopolitical life. Everything is changing. The economic and the energy impact is going to be strong because they attacked Saudi Arabia. One of their refineries was blown up. We don't know if this is going to happen again. So the oil and gas prices, I expect, are going up, maybe by 10, 15%. Maybe they could reach $100 per barrel. So that would be 0.7% to global inflation. So Venezuela has to be ready because the inflation is going up. The dollar is the inflation is going up, but Venezuela is going to be better paid. At the same time, for that export of oil, that they've got that new agreement with the U.S. administration. But that money is really regulated by the U.S., not by the Venezuelan government, because that's part of the process. So the U.S. will see how they will handle that with Venezuela. But as far as I know, I've seen over there, the natural gas prices spiked up by 20%, 25%, something like that, the gas. Now, shipping, you can imagine that area, as you know, all that oil thing with those missiles passing through. Iran is making an impact in a sense of the way because the Strait of Hormuz, I think, is 20% or 25% of the global oil and gas that passes through it. So that means the insurance is going up, or shipping cost, and that is going to have an impact globally. Then you've got the aviation industry, tourism. So the travel between Europe and Asia is going to be disrupted somehow. They will have to divert flights. The Dubai International Airport, they have some damage, as far as I understand, and injuries to their staff as well. So airport to fly to Dubai at the moment is going to be an impact in Europe because there is a huge relation between Dubai and the main capitals in Europe. So there are going to be people having problems traveling, coming backwards and forwards. So then you've got the regional retaliation, because it's going to happen, because there is going to be an answer if the strikes continue against U.S. and Israeli assets in the Middle East. Well, you know, they've been doing it to the United Arab Emirates, in Kuwait and in Qatar. And this diplomatic fallout is happening, but it's the European, the Emirates. They closed the Iranian embassy, and they called the ambassador, which is the right step to do, and the others should do the same. And then this Ayatollah was killed, and the other one was killed as well immediately. He didn't last 24 hours, I think. He didn't last even 24 hours ruling there. So they've got a problem now with that transitional leadership council to manage the country.
Can I ask you something?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. As I said before, I share some insights in a small forum on the dark web with a few people in. It's a short forum, okay? The guy who runs the forum, the first time when he saw, I'm coming from Venezuela. Oh, come on, boom, pa dentro.
Okay.
And he's on London, I guess. He's very secretive guy, and he mentioned something, and I would like to hear your opinion about this comment he made about the lack of intelligence across the Europe. Okay, across the intelligence services, because he said the problem is that they are going to counterattack in the way of terrorist acts. That's the only way. That's he told me last night in a comment he posted. And I would like to hear your opinion about that. If he is right, okay, about that, and the lack of intelligence to stop the sooner attacks of sleeper cells of Iranian regime. You there? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I am here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that is something something I said a little bit earlier. You were not here.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, you arrived a little bit later. Here in Europe, and I believe because they're doing the same in the US, the MI5 and the French security and the German security, they all know that. In fact, the German chancellor said that Europe, they fear, because they know that Europe has been penetrated by Hezbollah's cells.
Sleeper cells, yeah.
They know that. So that concern regarding European intelligence and the threat of future domestic attacks, that in reality is a major focal point for security analysts right now. They know it. And that is because of how fast these issues are going on, this conflict is going on in the Middle East. So what they could be talking about is about an overextension of security services. Maybe they think they should do more, what they call lack of intelligence or something like that. I think now what they were talking about. You know more than me because you were there. I wasn't, but I suspect they're talking that there should be more of an extension in security services. So when you've got cases like this, when a major regional war breaks out, all these intelligence agencies, they have to pivot really massive resources, you see, that costs money, towards state-level threats. Because the threats are at state level. That becomes now a paramount issue to protect the communities, the people. They have to take more spies out there, more vigilance, and so on and so forth. And then because you've got threats like missiles and cyber warfare as well, via internet. Are they going to attack a bank? Are they going to attack any system via internet, so on and so forth? And that can create then, they're trying to cover those blind spots. Let's put it that way. Those blind spots, because they are domestic terror cells, you see. They're domestic, let's put it that way. They are in every single country, those little cells. So they're trying to cover those blind spots to protect the people at the end of the day. So in Europe, they heightened the terror alert levels. They did. All in several European nations, as far as I read in the news, including France, Germany, and here in the UK, of course. Now we have high, in some countries they call it high level, in others they call it severe threat levels. So because yes, every security service, they are all concerned that the conflict as a radicalization catalyst potentially could, I said that in other respect, inspire a loose cannon, what they call a lone wolf, because they are not getting any order in reality from Tehran or anything, but they can act, they just act by themselves, independently. So like a lone wolf actors, because they are cells and they can gather one night and go and do something horrible. Now, what I fear actually, in that sense of the way, is that, because I've seen that in the past, when those things happen, most times these cells, they don't act within the period of tension. They leave the tension die. For instance, they're not going to do anything now. The US is going to stay there 8 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever it takes. And a year later, 2 years later, when everybody starts to be more calm, where you think that everything is calmed down, that nothing is happening.
When the dust has settled down.
Yes, when the dust has settled down, that everybody thinks everything is all right, that's the moment they act. I've seen it. They act later. They wait. They've got patience. And then they act. That's my fear. That they're not going to act tonight. They are going to act next year. In any moment. In another period. That is my fear. But that's my view. So, yes, there is a resource strain. And there is, you can imagine, the influx of digital data coming and going. And the need to monitor every single extremist communications during wartime. Right? So they have reported that to agencies like the Europol, the MI5, MI6, the military in itself, the police.
The 6 Eyes. Have you heard about the 6 Eyes?
The MI5 and the MI6.
No, the 6 Eyes. Do you know
the 6
term?
Eyes, yes.
Yeah, it's probably,
The 6 Eyes,
it's very probably the 6 Eyes are heavily exchanging information right now.
They are, yeah. So all these agencies, because the data that's flowing, all that digital data flowing, coming and going, monitoring the extremistic communications, blah, blah, that is moving right now all along Europe. So the fear is not necessarily a lack of talent, but a lack of, in that sense, let's put it like, how can I put it in a metaphorical way? The lack of bandwidth, let's put it that way, the lack of bandwidth to track every credible threat simultaneously.
Yeah, my friend, but
are you with me? Because some of them could be even playing around, and then there is not really anything going on. And in a moment of tension, all that data flowing, coming and going, it's a heavy task. It is a hard task.
Yeah, my friend, but that is the moment where the AI comes into the play.
Oh well, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Now we have a game changer there, which is AI.
Yeah.
So I believe that the problem is not a lack of personnel, you know.
Well, but
People
I don't know if
or talent, as you said.
in AI. Regarding AI, I think the US is much more advanced than Europe. Europe,
They are using cloud.
Europe hasn't got that system. They've got some AI, but it's not the AI like US style. They are a little bit behind there. And they've got to be managing all that information. Yes, the US is the champion in the sense of the way.
Yeah, remember we mentioned it yesterday. They used cloud here in Venezuela to make to. They use cloud to analyze the data about the Venezuelan situation. Okay.
Yes, that's true. The much better. You've got the hand up. Go ahead.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Very clear.
Okay.
Clear.
Well, I just have a question regarding Euro. Do you know what's the position of Deutschland, Germany, regarding this, this problem with Europe now? I haven't heard anything from Germany.
Yes, yeah, I've heard it. I've read it this morning. The Chancellor, it's changed. He turned around. He said, "No, Europe must act." In fact, he's the one who is leading, if you like, if you will, the position with Macron and Starmer. He was stronger. He was the first one this morning appearing in the media saying, we've got to act. Europe has to act. So Germany is with the plan of defending Europe, not this wishy-washy situation anymore. So yes, that's why I just read another article about Macron saying that he's using all that movement and so on and all that because he's against Israel. He hasn't got any other plan. He's against Israel because this morning a colleague was dithering if it was against Israel. Why Macron is doing this and the other? No. He's behaving in the right direction, protecting the European interest. That's the fact.
Well, that's good to hear that.
Good. Anything else? Anybody would like to say something?
I wonder if for people in Venezuela, I wonder if there have been some sort of a reaction from Iranians in the country, or people from the regime reacting in favor, or what has been the reaction? I wonder if there's anything that considering the population in that might be in the country. I don't know if there's anything happening or showing, even in the news. I don't know.
So are you saying if...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, no, sorry.
Oh, no, don't worry. As far as I understand, as far as I know, Venezuela was taking a stance of something like a very ambiguous message saying we're still supporting Iran and this and the other, but they took that communication down. So they changed that for some reason. Maybe they were advised by who knows who to take that out of the media. So they took it out of the media. I really don't know. Now, the reaction, I would say, from Venezuela it's got to be strained, and of course it's complex. Because the reality is that the Venezuelan government, if you can call that a government, is in a transitional period. It's a contested state. So they, as I said, they issued those statements attempting to balance somehow that historical alliance with Iran. But maybe the pressure with Washington, they took it away, I don't know. So they did a condemnation of the strikes. They formally condemned the US and Israeli strikes on Iran. They did it. And they say that, diplomatic actions and diplomatic negotiations and this and the other. So, but they took it out. Now, the criticism of Iranian retaliation from the past, well, they haven't got from Iran anymore any unconditional solidarity, actually. So Venezuela cannot give it anymore because they took that down. So that shows that there is no unconditional solidarity anymore, in the sense of the way. So what can they say? That they are undue and condemnable? They didn't reach up to that point, but they were they didn't do it. But what this really shows is that that solidarity has weakened because of the pressure. Now, that statement was very vague, very, it wasn't strong, it was a very vague statement. And they withdrew it. Because, of course, the Maduro factor, the story, the fall of Maduro and so on. So that's all it is. That's all it takes there. Now, from the economic point of view, regarding Hezbollah and the financing from Venezuela to the Middle East, that's being tackled in the Middle East. So they are not going to be sending money that easy as they used to through the networks to bypass the banking, international financing, or the system, using the bitcoins or things like that through the networks and so on and so forth, because they are tackling that network as well. So for Venezuela, all this, what's happening in the Middle East, is a blessing. For Venezuela, is positive, highly positive, because it's weakening them in other areas like financing, the networks, the people dying. They are much more busy at the moment dealing with their own issues regionally than trying to protect a network at the moment that is really coming down. So I think it's positive for Venezuela, absolutely positive. So it just secures the Western Hemisphere a little bit more from the financing point of view, as well as from the energy supplies. And all that is really, really good for Venezuela. Is good, very, very good news in the sense of the way. It's better here because it's closer to us. The cells can reactivate really here more than in South America. But sorry. But from that point of view, Venezuela is winning, in my view. Really winning. Anybody else? Anybody else would like to say anything?
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord Ivan. Yeah, but I was referring to, I don't know, it's I think Alvaro is in Venezuela. If there are any demonstrations by any ethnic groups from
No.
Middle East.
Anything.
Okay.
Anything, sir.
That's interesting to me, considering the fact that we all know who is there or who probably has left or they're sleeping somehow. I'm just curious and see if there's any form of demonstration pro or against, so it's interesting. Thank you.
No, that's fine. Yes. No. Here, any demonstration about Venezuela or anything? No, there isn't any. Nothing at all. People are having demonstrations. Some of them here in the UK. It's pro-regime. Others are protesting pro-freedom. You can see both. But about Venezuela, no, nothing. There are no demonstrations about Venezuela at all. Just the problem in Iran. Palestine, free Palestine, they're always protesting about free Palestine and this and the other. And now you are seeing, yes, protest in favor of getting rid of the regime. Yeah, you can see that. But via X more than on TV.
The only demonstration here was official statement from the transition government. That's the only reaction I have seen about the problem on Iran right now.
Just wondering if someone in Margarita Island where some of the cells were operating in the east side of the country. I mean, I'm just wondering, because this is all new to us. We have never had a Middle East conflict with such a big population in our country. So for me, it's just a matter of, it might happen or not. It might, I'm just wondering.
Yes, I can understand I can understand where you're coming from. I can understand that. But no, not to worry. Venezuela is out of the equation. In fact, the whole of South America is out of the equation. The problem is Europe. Then, yes. But the whole of South America is completely out of the equation. There are going to be cells in, I don't know, Argentina burning something, or in Brazil. Now, Brazil even has Lula da Silva, communist Mexico. No, I don't think so. You will see problems in Mexico with the narco. Maybe the narco, if the narco guys, if they get another guy, like just happened a week or so ago. But not because Hamas is going to be doing any terrorist attack over there. No. It will be the terror people, but not this kind of stuff. That kind of cells will affect Europe more than in Venezuela. Yes. In my view, I don't think so. So Venezuela can be calm. And for Venezuela, all these news are just fantastic. Fantastic. The petrol price goes up. The little bit they are selling is going to give them more money. Yes, there is going to be some inflation. There is going to be some inflation, sadly, because it's something that will affect the whole economy of the planet. But at the same time, it will compensate because more money will go there. The advantage is that it's been, on this occasion, is that money is going to be managed by the U.S., not by the Venezuelan government. Mm-hmm. And then, so the plans for Venezuela continue going. Green light. As smooth as always. That's no problem.
I don't want to go outside of the topic.
I would feel at this stage, I would feel safer in Maiquetía Airport than in Heathrow. From that point of view.
Wow. You are very bold, man.
Yeah,
You're very bold.
from that perspective, I would be safer in Maiquetía
Yeah, I
than
understand
in
that.
Heathrow or in Orly in Paris or whatever, in any mini airport, because, you know, when these terrorists are going to attack, they choose that kind of places. Stadiums, transport places, whether it's a bus station, a train station, airports, theater, wherever people are gathering. If it's Christmas, because there is a gathering in some square, or in a park opening, and there are hundreds of people around. That's the kind of place they go to make a terrorist attack. That's. I would be, from that point of view, if fearing a terror cell in Venezuela, no, that's not going to. Not this kind of terror. Narco, yes. Diosdado, maybe. Diosdado Cabello, yes, no problem. But
oh no, this guy shit on his pants.
yes, absolutely. But there you go. Yes, that's the thing. Okay. Well, any other comment that you would like to say? The much better.
Thank you. Well, the only consequences that I see from this conflict is that there definitely the triple frontier. I mean, Uruguay, Brazil, and I don't remember the other country, which was ruled by the
it's called the tree border.
Okay, tree border.
The tree. Don't say tri.
Paraguay, Brazil, and Argentina.
It's tree border.
Okay.
TRI border.
Yeah.
The tree border. Yeah.
Got it. The influence of the Iranian in that area was very good, and I think it would be not as a consequences of this conflict, okay, which is very good. And another consequence that I see, which involve our hemisphere, well, especially South America, is that the financial connections with Iran, okay, will be completely affected. Okay, so as consequence, the pseudo government of Venezuela would be definitely affected. Okay, which is very good. And well, let's see.
Well, I can tell you that one of the effects that we're probably going to see quicker in our hemisphere will be that, and that's why it's very important for the states to keep close coordination with security forces in South America. I know for a fact that Argentina is doing its part. Paraguay is a very good ally. It has become a great supporter of he has been investing a lot in security. Paraguay has been facing a lot of problems in security, especially in armed trafficking, and they've been fighting with that for the last 4 years. So they have become a really close ally for America. And hopefully we can see this attack in Iran translate into what you mentioned, because it's I think it's the first window the first form that we're going to see how the Iranian regime coming down is going to affect our region. Iranians have been infiltrating the South America for years in that form. because they don't obviously they don't have the military capability to invade anything, but it's just how they operate. Ecuador today is facing an intense war against criminal enterprises because of Albanian groups are being reigning with drug trafficking and gold trafficking, and I'm very vocal about this because since the war on drugs, they've been hitting, they've been moving their groups to traffic gold and minerals to support their operations. And I'm keeping an eye really close on that, how it's going to translate to South America. And because Iranians share intelligence to these groups, they support financially these groups, and that's how they affect the United States, because these groups and eventually that's the reason the United States did what they did in Venezuela, to kill the snake by the head. Just killing the snake by the head. Venezuela was the pot of call for drug trafficking and arms trafficking and all contraband, and now we can see the bigger picture. Yes, because United States needed Venezuela as an ally. Yes, because Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world, but mainly because Venezuela was functioning as the highway of trafficking or drug trafficking to the States, arms trafficking to criminal enterprises in the region, the highway of oil contraband to Iran and China. All of that is going to translate. So now we understand how geopolitics were affecting our region, and now we understand. And at this point, I still don't understand. As much as you hate Trump, because this is a reality in America, there's a bunch of people that hate this president, and you can hate the guy, and I totally understand that. You can hate, his ways, and I've been reading a lot of things about the guy, and yes, you cannot like the guy, but you cannot agree on why and what he's doing and the way he's doing politics. I don't know if we're gonna like the way, but we are liking the results. And as voters, this guy is providing more results than anybody else, any other politician or party. So if the Democrats in this country are waiting for any of these operations to fail so that they can translate that in votes in the midterms, I don't think that's going to happen. Because voters, for what I hear and what I read, the Democrats are not proposing shit. They're not proposing anything. So I don't know if this is going to be good or bad, if this war is going to last enough to affect us financially. We don't know that yet. So as of today, the president is gonna hold on to the voters. Let's just remind everyone that the majority of the voters that Trump accumulated through his campaigns was because he needed. He promised Americans to be protected, and Americans didn't feel safe for a long time, and he's providing that. Yes, we're going to have sleeper cells waking up, and we are, as I mentioned earlier, we are expecting some terrorist attacks in America because those cells exist in here, and that's a freaking reality. We have to live with it, and that's why we wanted closed borders. That's the main reason. People think that we wanted. I support closed borders because of the terrorism. People try to deviate the narrative. No, that you hate immigrants and shit. No. I mean, how can a Venezuelan hate immigration, legal immigration? What I don't want is to see what happened in 9/11. What I don't want is to have terrorists attending flighting schools in my state of Florida to perpetrate terrorist attacks in anywhere in America. That's what I don't want. It has nothing to do with gardeners, with mechanics, with people wanting to get a better life in America. It has nothing to do with that. But that narrative doesn't fit with the Democrats. We need to hit Trump somehow, and that's why he won my vote. For example, I'm an independent. I don't belong to any party. It's just making sense. You know my point. I want to close borders, not because I don't want my other Latinos to come here. It makes no sense. It's stupid to think that way. But I don't know how to tell people that we don't want terrorists coming here. And the majority of these caravanas that came from Honduras and Central America, they were all infiltrated with the Iranians and Pakistanis and terrorists that wanted to come here to do exactly what they're going to do. The guy that got on the weekend was from Senegal. He was an American citizen and a naturalized American citizen, and they come for that. This is not rocket science, So these actions are exactly what the American media and American voter wanted. It's going to be ugly. It's like Milei said in Argentina. It's going to be super ugly before it gets better. The economy in Argentina was so devastated that obviously you cannot change that. You cannot fix it in a year or two. It's going to be really bad because before it gets better. So we understand that it's, you say that you support the war because your kids are not in the war. All those narratives can be countered with one sentence. If we don't do it now, we haven't done it in the last 25 years after the Cold War. This is the result. 9/11 is the result. Bombings in anywhere, it's the result. This is the result of non-action. I cannot say it enough. I was a volunteer with the firefighters for 9/11. The 9/11 event. It's beyond what I can explain because the sense of insecurity was through the roof. Where I live, there's a nuclear plant, probably half an hour south where I live, and I can't describe you guys the sense of fear that you feel when you see something like that. When you see a country where you live, I was a student back then, and you don't understand the sense of fear because probably you do because some of you live in Venezuela and you have lived the terror of the Maduro regime, which is something similar, right? But the sense of fear that terrorism, that extremist Islamists create, and the way they operate, it's another level. So, this is action that it's beyond comprehension, and this is what we're fighting. We're fighting a spiritual fight that is not only as we can see in our country in Venezuela, but you see it everywhere else. And probably Lord, you see it in Europe 10 times harder than we see it in America, because Europe is being hit by this spiritual and this religious war every single day. I cannot think how British people might be fed from these extremists living in your country. It's unprecedented. I cannot understand it, but that's the reason, and that's a little bit of the sense of we have here in America. It's something that is ugly, but it's bad, and there's no way to just fight a military action where your soldiers are gonna be put in the line, but people are gonna die, and yes, it's bad, but it's just the way it is. It's been done for the history of humanity.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's completely different the scenario you're talking about. Yes, I completely agree. One thing is Venezuela by itself and its reality and how it's going on. These terrorist cells are not going to be worried about Venezuela. They're not going to be worrying about Trinidad and Tobago. They're not going to be worrying about Panama or anything of the sort. That's easy to put that on hold and wait. For them, their enemy is the USA, Israel.
Totally. I totally agree with you, and that's why we need allies on it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So that's where they're heading. Israel, USA, Europe. The rest can be, more relaxed, up to point, because they're not going to be wasting resources, time, money, and energy in the middle of this, that.
They don't have it.
The impact, exactly, as you said, the impact of causing a terror attack in Miami, Chicago, New York has a global impact, whereas a little terror attack in, Acarigua, Venezuela, or in some town in Mexico, yes, it's going to be news, but that is not going to cause the same psychological impact. And they know it. They know from Mexico downwards, they are weak countries. They are easier to control. It's like the same policy they've got with Israel. The strongest there is Israel. And that's why they say in their advertisings and so on, in their propaganda, that the main they've got to defeat, and Netanyahu knows this, when Netanyahu says, if they defeat Israel, they will conquer the world. Netanyahu is not lying. If they defeat Israel and the US in that sense of the way, that is it. Venezuela will be conquered. The whole of Africa will be conquered because they are weak. They are the easy bit. So the easy bit is not a problem. The one they've got to destroy are the hard rocks of the West. And that involves Israel, United States, Europe. That's their goal. And then, are you living? Where you live in Miami, Luis? All right. Okay.
Yeah,
I understand.
Yeah, I'm here in Miami.
Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. They're not going to waste any money on it because their focus is hitting America somehow, somewhere. Their freaking war is against us and blah 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 blah, and it's just a form of life for them to be killing people and whatever. They don't see, and that's one thing that we have to understand. It's they don't see life as we see it. We don't understand why they spend, these people live in tunnels for their whole life, and they have some sort of, it will never, extremists will never fit in our form of life. It will never fit because they just live for something else. We wake up every single day to have a good life, to send our kids to school, and, to have proper businesses and stuff like that. These people wake up every single day to see how they're gonna attack America or fuck up America somehow, in some form, in some way. So it will never be something about, unless they really want to really have a different life outside their countries, because they cannot have, like many Iranians that live in the States, they found a way before the 1979 revolution, and they had to flee the same way that I'll tell you guys, I flew Venezuela in 1999 after Chavez won power, because I was the one that didn't fit. Probably a lot of us didn't fit, but I didn't fit because, the reality is that a majority of people voted for the guy. Well, a good portion of the people didn't actually vote. The they didn't even show up. Around 4 million people, registered voters, didn't vote, and that really hurt us. But a lot of people wanted Chavez in power, so I didn't fit. So these Iranians that fled after their 1979 revolution didn't fit in their country. And I bet a lot of Iranians don't fit in the actual revolution, in the actual regime. But for a lot of them, it's just the way it is. It's just their life. It's the Taliban guys and this extreme. It's just the way. It's just the way they live. They function. It's just killing for them is a form of life. And if we don't do this, it's going to be an eternal war. And it seems that way because we never do. It's not in our nature to go and bomb everywhere. It's not in our nature. That's why we react this way. We always gonna hate war, but we have to defend ourselves. And we as Venezuelans and South Americans, we need to understand. We need to learn how to defend our land. We need to defend our homeland, even if it's with arms. You hear Juan Pablo Guanipa last night on the program, and he mentioned when he was captured, he said that he was thinking on the armed conflict as a solution. I never heard a politician in my time speaking on that way. Never in my 45, I'm 49. Less 10. So I never heard a politician talking about an armed conflict to gain freedom. And that's a reality we're facing today. We need politicians to think that way. If we need to go to war, or is it that you think that Bolivar and all our libertarians didn't do what they needed to do to give us freedom? We have to do the freaking same thing. And it's not because we're violent. It's just we need to defend ourselves. And in South America, we need to learn, either it's Colombia or Venezuela or Argentina or whatever it is, or Brazil. We need to learn that sometimes this is the only way. We've been negotiating for decades. We've been talking in dialogues with forever, and it's done. And I don't want to tell. And I've been reading nonsense stuff the last 3 days. No, this is not the way. We need to talk, and we have the UE delegates still talking about dialogues. And protesters in Iran, while you want to talk, they're being hanged in every single plaza in Tehran. And so Venezuelans will still have hundreds of political prisoners. We got political prisoners of 24 and 25 years. Policemen from the 2002 events are still in capture. They're being captured for 24 years. And you want me to keep talking? You want me to keep having dialogues? I mean, tell that to those families. Tell those families to have a dialogue. So and people can say, well, you don't have your kids. Well, you don't have your family arrested as a political prisoner for more than 20 years. You don't have that. That's why it's so comfortable for you to talk about dialogues. Enough is enough, and I totally get it. And I didn't lose anybody on the New York attacks, but I was here, and you could feel the sadness, and it's just it hurts to see 3,000 people dying for nothing. It's crazy.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Now, that's why the U.S. needs to put their the south of the border stronger. It is time that Cuba comes to an end with that regime. It is time Venezuela now is heading to the proper democracy. It is time that the whole region, Mexico, Panama, Nicaragua, Honduras, all of them, Costa Rica, Colombia, Peru, all those countries should be making business, trading with the US. The European Union is dying to enter Mercosur. They are desperate to enter there. If I were Mercosur, I would be thinking, instead of thinking of the European Union, I would be thinking in the US, if I were them, including Argentina. Argentina exports some kind of milk to Canada, but not milk as milk, drinkable, some derivative of milk. They export it to Canada, or I know because I know some people who do it, and they do it that way to Canada. Well, everything should be that way. Exporting Argentina to the US, products from the US to Mexico, others from Panama to the US, Venezuela forming, all that part of the trading game regionally. If we could imagine, just as a scenario in our imagination, from Canada to Argentina, all the natural resources we've got there. We don't need the rest of the world. We don't need China. We don't need the European Union. We don't need Africa. We don't need anybody else. Just from Canada to Argentina, we are covering from the North Pole to the South in a gigantic extension of land and resources. All is there. Everything is there. We don't need anybody else. So in that scenario, I know, pretty ideal, utopic, a little bit utopic, but you can imagine what's there. And in the way the south of the border is stronger, the less exposed the US is to this kind of penetrations. They don't use Canada so much. Why they use the south of the border? Because it's weak. It's the stark reality. The backyard of the US is just there. Like exactly the same, the backyard of Europe is there, Africa. Africa is so poor that as soon as they put these open borders policies, look what happened. All these people crossing the Mediterranean, entering via Italy, via Spain, Portugal, the south of France, so on. They enter into Europe, they end up in Germany, in France, wherever there. Hungary is protecting itself. It's one of the strongest countries that has kept their frontiers closed. And from there, once they pass through, they go through to any country they like. Sweden. The rapes in Sweden are unbelievable. So you can imagine, it's because it's just abandoned. So if I were the US, I will do exactly what Trump is doing now, sorting out all those headache countries that have caused so much damage. I agree with that policy. To take them up, come on, up, and welcome, and integrate them to have progress, commerce, technology, and join the 21st century. Because Cuba is still living in 1957, for instance, and Venezuela they think they are very modern. I can tell you that right now, that they are not. Venezuela today, in the 21st century, Caracas should look like Dubai. Like Dubai. Caracas should have motorways of that, as they say in American English, highways, motorways from Caracas to Tucupita in Delta, where the Orinoco River ends. Venezuela should have a bridge between Margarita Island and the continent. Maracaibo should be another extraordinary city of the 21st century. They still using the structure mostly that built Marcos Pérez Jiménez in the 1950s, with the exception of Central Park, that was built during the democracy period, and a highway, a motorway called Cota Mill, and the metro, the subway. That was done in democracy during the Fourth Republic. With the exception of that, most of that structure was built in the 1950s. And what happened is that because that old structure is there and is not as old as the Cuban one, in Venezuela, still giving the illusion that the country is still with some structure and is still modernish. But it's not. It's really, really, really well behind. Unless they want to keep the structure European style. Because if you come to the old Europe, you can see buildings that were built in, I don't know, in the 1500s, in the year 1210, in the Middle Ages. Oh yes, they were built in the Middle Ages, but they are really well looked after. And the area looks so clean, so beautiful, that it is as if you were traveling to Harry Potter land. It's gorgeous. It's something so beautiful, so organized. Here in Scotland, the castles, that's Harry Potter land. But other than that, Venezuela should have been like Dubai or the Emirates is today, and it's not. And many people in Venezuela think they are still very, updated. I'm sorry to say no. I wish it were. Don't get me wrong, I wish. But they are not. Venezuela is really behind in so many things. Really, really behind. Well, anyway, I think that's all for today. Thank you for coming, Luis. Let's see. We've got to. I'm going to try next Monday once more. This is the last week I'm going to be trying in English to talk about geopolitics. Because this conversation goes beyond the normal, traditional talk that you find in other spaces. They're talking about, yes, the prisoners. They're talking about, yes, the details about what's going on here and then with Maria Corina, which is absolutely fine. And I join them and I share information with them. But the idea was to go to more of a geopolitic focus in order to bring U.S. people so they can realize the importance of having the south of the border in good shape, because in the way they are in good shape, they are protecting themselves as well. If you are well, I am well. If I am well, you are well. That's why it's called Commonwealth. That's the way it works. So if we've got a Commonwealth, we're going to be fine, we're going to work harder, we're going to progress, and our future is going to be as bright as the sun. And that's the idea of this space, you see. The idea of this space is precisely to transmit that to the USA, to give them really the right focus of things. Not everything has to be the typical Mexican that is lazy with a big hat, sitting in a corner and covering his face from the sun, and with his knees bent to his face, just like that, sitting on a little mule beside him. No. That's the picture of the 19th century. That doesn't work like that anymore, and they're not lazy either. They work hard. People in Venezuela are hard people. They are hard workers, hard working people. They are. They wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, 4 a.m. in the morning to work. So people, the energy is there. What they need is the right path, the right focus. Put an end to corruption, put an end to this criminality around, and work hard for that better future. And with the help, of course, that the US has, and all this goodwill, what's happening now, despite all the mistakes and hassle and disgraces that, all the bad things that has been happening, take that away and let's focus to that future. Working together, growing together. Let's make Cuba big. Let's make Cuba a new Copacabana of the 22nd century, where people can go, to the beach, in the Havana Beach, and you could go to those casinos to listen to Cuban music, listen to that Latin flavor, and make a connection Havana Las Vegas, for instance, in a flight tropical. Oh, it's winter in Las Vegas, let's go to Havana, and there it is. You've got a spectacular airport, modern, people arriving, money coming, people going over there as well to spend their money. I mean, it could be so beautiful. The tourism in Cuba, that's the way it was, There was a huge place called Tropicana. And during the 1950s, before Fidel Castro, the amount of Americans that used to go there, and even from Venezuela, people from Venezuela used to go there to spend the weekends in the Tropicana restaurant, bar. And the roof of the Tropicana bar, which was really beautiful because it was technology at the time, used to open itself at midnight while the orchestras with that music, Cuban music. Imagine Celia Cruz singing, Olga Guillot, y por eso estoy así, tam, pam, pam, and the drums and the palms and the roof of the whole restaurant open to the sky. It was opening slowly, and all those orchestras and the people dancing. It was spectacular. And all that came to an end because of socialism, communism, and this disgrace that is really disgusting for 67 years. So Cuba has a tremendous future. So has Venezuela, and the whole region, really, as long as they go. And I am absolutely sure we are heading that way. And, well, with that message of hope, I'll say then goodbye. See you next Monday, same time, same channel. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank you,
Luis.
Thank you for having us.
It's all right. Thank you.
If you allow me 30 seconds to say something.
Of course, yes, go ahead.
I think it's important for us as South Americans and Latinos to really understand that we need to come together as a one. One of the big things about having such a big diaspora in so many countries in this region is that we have learned from the Chileans, from the Argentinians, from the Colombians, from the Peruvians, from the Ecuadorians, from the Salvadorians, Costa Ricans. We have understood that our region is so vast and rich that all we need is to agree in a form of life. That's it. That's the reason they're behind us. Not only for the oil. This is the oil is the commodity of the world and such. But I bet that every Venezuelan that have gone to any of these countries, have lived on those countries, can say the same. and we need to take that into our countries. When we go back to Venezuela, when we go back to Colombia, and we go back to Chile and all our countries, we need to try to rewire our way of thinking. I don't want Latinos to change the way we are, because we are just rich and pure as we are, and that's all within our culture. But we have to agree that we need to change some of the things that we have learned from the past. And I truly believe that we have a very good chance to be a lot better, because everything that we have lived through. We have so much potential. I've been so many times in Colombia that it blows my mind to think that country is going through what they're going. They have so much potential in progress. Their education level is huge. So if we agree to bring our brothers Latinos in get it into action, and translate everything that we want to do into action, we're going to have a great region. We're going to have we're going to be able to really coexist, outside of soccer or outside of baseball, outside of rumbas and salsa and, music and everything else, aside from all culture ties, we're going to be able to grow.
Bueno, señoras y señores, se acabó el espacio. Sí, se acabó el espacio. Mi disculpa, que estaba comiendo. Sí, bueno, se acabó el espacio, amigas, amigos. Entonces, bueno, ya vamos a terminar. Gracias por estar aquí. Recuerden dar un like, suscribirse y dejar comentarios si quieren, si no lo dejan así, ¿vale? Todos los días tenemos directos en formato de podcast o vídeo también. Noticias de Venezuela. Estamos con María Carolina Machado, la libertad de las Américas, las noticias de Donald Trump, Estados Unidos, la guerra de Irán, Israel, etcétera, ¿ok? Bueno, hemos llegado al final, amigas, amigas. Las quiero muchísimo y nos vemos en el próximo directo, ¿ok? Hasta luego.